You'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live, joining me is Aaron William Freeland. Aaron, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you, Frank?
Good. I come back with sad greetings from the mayor of Halifax. Unfortunately, it appears that there's little or no interest in a CFL team there right now. They don't have the money. The budget isn't there. So that's a sad thing to think about.
Unfortunately, I mean, the other issue here is stadium as well. I mean, they played where was it Acadia?
Yep.
Yeah, for that was in the Axemen's home stadium, but that's a smaller stadium. So unfortunately, I don't think there's anything Halifax area that's big enough. So.
Yeah, the other universities that they have there would have to upgrade their university like they did in Montreal. And we'll see. It appears the CFL will be going there every year. And I got to tell you, Aaron, it's an adventure that you have to make. It was incredible. Unfortunately, right now, the people who were behind the schooners were not behind this visit. They had no part in it. I guess that signals the kind of hope there is for a team in Nova Scotia, namely Halifax at this time. So it is what it is. It was a lot of fun. I was there. I had a great time, met some great people. And I told you the story about going to buy a 12-pack of beer, put it down on the counter, and the lady in front of me paid for it. Unbelievable. Great place, wonderful people, kind, generous, and it's a very polite place. And not that it isn't polite here or places close by, but it's a little different lifestyle, to be sure. Let's talk about the Canadian Football League. And the Montreal Alouettes defeated the Ottawa Redblacks 40-33. Aaron, this was a game that exploded on the score sheet suddenly.
Yeah, there were I think 33 points scored in the second and fourth quarter by Montreal. Nothing in the first quarter and a touchdown in the third. But it's the damage that they did on the opposite end of the field that seemed to be the trick for Montreal. Ottawa was consistent. 8, 6, 12, and 7 across the four quarters. But Montreal, with their spotty scoring, almost looked like they were trying to give Ottawa a chance before taking it away from them.
Yeah, it did get to look like that. The important thing is Montreal comes out of the win, changes coaches. Mind you, the reason they changed the coaches, one of the things that Machocha said was this team was getting penalized too much. And unfortunately for him, it hasn't changed with him in charge. So hopefully that can change. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers sat a couple of key players, and went on to play in Edmonton. Unfortunately for Edmonton, they weren't enough. They lost 24-10.
Yeah, that was a game and a bit for you right there. Even short-staffed, the Blue Bombers managed to pull it out. I mean, it was good to see Zach Collaros going 7 of 16 for 188 yards with 2 touchdowns. The other flip side of that was he also allowed 2 interceptions, which is not exactly something you really want to see. But overall, it was a good game, entertaining to watch for sure.
Well, they had a cat fight in the Tiger cage. BC overcame Hamilton. They clawed them 17-12.
This was one of those games that looked like it was going to be an absolute mauling. Low scoring, but very, very physical. I mean, yeah, granted, football is physical, but this seemed to be a little bit more than most, and It was a real defensive struggle. So.
And the Ticats did it without Simone Lawrence. It looks like they missed them. We'll see how that works out. And, of course, the rematch in Saskatchewan, the COVID delayed by a day game that was supposed to be played on Saturday was played 24 hours later on Sunday. The Saskatchewan Roughriders were a little undermanned. The Toronto Argonauts looked to maybe be involved in a trap game, and it looked a lot like a trap game early.
Oh, it definitely did. They were down 21-14 after 3 quarters, and then turned it around in the fourth with a big 17 points. So, but yeah, you're right. This is one of those games where, you feel like, well, they should win and maybe they'll lose, and it certainly looked that way. but I'm glad they were on the right side for a change.
TFC brought in a couple of really good Italian soccer players that won a championship recently, and they came in, and while they didn't go crazy scoring, they did have an effect in the game.
This is true. I mean, I know Josie Altidore had a pair helping TFC win 3-1. Sorry, don't worry, I'll be back with it here. Bernardeschi actually did play well. I was glad to see that. Insigne is also, I find this interesting. He was participating in the All-Star game festivities as well. So, but that was before he even played a game with TFC. So that was rather amusing. But no, it was good to see. It was good to see the TFC put that together. So.
Yep. Bernardeschi, someone we don't know as well as Insigne, played really well, and they did a great job. Let's go over the National Hockey League and the Montreal Canadiens. Paul Byron assists in a plane rescue. What the heck was that about?
So this is one of those good news, sort of right place, right time sort of thing. I mean, typically, hockey players will attend weddings or play a little ball hockey. But he actually participated in a rescue for a crashed seaplane in the Laurentians. He was on a fishing trip in Lac des Sables in Notre-Dame-du-Lac, approximately 90 minutes north of Montreal, with his father-in-law, brother-in-law, and a close friend. And the plane came down and crashed. So they took off with their boat and helped get some of the people to safety.
Wow. Well, good for him. It's always nice to hear good news from hockey players. And that's an assist that I think means that he leads everybody this year on that assist. We'll see when the next hockey player can do something just as good. Looking at the Calgary Flames, Johnny Gaudreau left the team, and Matthew Tkachuk didn't want to play on the team, but at least in the second instance, it seems the Flames GM put together a really good trade that at least offsets the loss of those two players.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, the return on investment here was absolutely fantastic for the Flames. Unfortunately, it did surprise some of the players that were involved in it, particularly Huberdeau, who wasn't exactly happy to be moving. But as it turns out, this is an opportunity for Tkachuk to go somewhere where he thinks he can win. And based on the way that Florida is performing in the past few years, and the fact that they won the President's Trophy this year, leads him to believe that they're on the cusp of something good.
And he likes beaches.
More
than mountains. Apparently. Hockey Canada.
As he said on his way out, I used to hate Edmonton. Now I hate Tampa.
Hockey Canada releases plan to combat toxic culture ahead of parliamentary hearings. I don't know if this might fit the definition of too little, too late.
Yeah, see, the problem is the cat's already out of the bag. They realize that there's a systemic problem in here. The plan is supposed to be implemented by the end of September, and it's supposed to be a centralized tracking and reporting system for abuse complaints. And they're going to publish the results annually. While I think it's admirable that they're going to do that sort of thing, there is no mention of potential repercussions for those that break the rules. There's just a really skeletal framework right now that here's what we're going to try to do so that people will think better of us, as opposed to here are the concrete steps we're going to take to make sure that this never happens again.
To side a little bit with you with what you're saying there, not 100%, I'll tell you, devil's advocate, but still, the problem is, it looks like they're only doing it because the jig is up, and you're right. It's not a real complicated solution to the problem. There's a phone number. If you have a problem, call it, and there'll be somebody there picking it up immediately, post haste. It's not a complicated system. It's all about victims being heard.
And that's the most important part, because if victims aren't heard, then you can't shed light on the issue and the problem, and you can't resolve it.
That's it. It's just about being heard. So it doesn't have to be an 18-page plan in doing it. That to me, that's just like somebody, you what's the saying? You complain too much, or you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You protest too much. That's what it is, right? Just get to the root of the problem. Make sure there's a phone number. Make sure you have a doctor and people who can contact the appropriate authorities, and that's it. Because at the end of the day, it's not Hockey Canada is not supposed to deal with that stuff. They're supposed to bring in people and help the person, excuse me, who feels something's wrong, and something bad has happened to them. That they should be the go-between to make sure that their concerns are, as we said, heard and dealt with. Um, on a different kind of concern, my goodness, I don't know if the Blue Jays should have been accused with assault and battery. I mean, Aaron, 28
Oh,
runs.
that was a bit of a game. I do have to say.
I
I
watched it.
think
I couldn't believe it.
there were four different records that were set there. There was 28 runs in a game, most runs scored in a game, most runs scored in an inning. Every single player on the Blue Jays starting lineup had at least two hits. Three separate players on the Blue Jays had 5 RBIs, not to mention an inside the park grand slam, which was absolutely fantastic. I think this has all happened to different teams at different points in their history, just never all in the same game.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot going on in that game, and there were some monumental errors in that game. Monumental, unbelievable. I mean, like I said, I watched the game. We can go. If you don't like the Red Sox, now's a good time to talk about what happened. But we'll cut them some slack and just say, they were a team that didn't have pitching. Their best pitcher was on the mound that was going to be available against the Jays, and this is what happened. It's just amazing. It's just hard to believe. Track and field, Aaron.
So Pierce Lepage actually won silver at the World Athletic Championships. He's a Canadian decathlete, so that's fantastic news for us. He put together 3 consecutive personal best performances in the 400 and 110 in discus that put him in second spot going into the 1500 meters. And his time of 4:42.77 was good enough for second spot overall in the decathlon. So that's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just move to the next one. Brooke Henderson wins her second career major, the Evian Championship.
Yeah, so this is good news for her. I mean, we've been waiting for her to get another win ever since her first one, obviously. So glad to see that she's having a little bit more success. So really fantastic news. It wasn't her best day, she admitted. She just had to try to stay patient to remind herself that she was actually still in the game. But she actually did make some really clutch putts down the stretch that actually helped her a lot. This is the first time she's won since the 2016 PGA Championship.
A great golfer. It's tough. It's tough. It's the Canadian flag can be pretty heavy, and she's worn it proudly, and she's done a great job representing our country, especially in women's golf. The Phillies offer a weak response after inviting Pete Rose back to the ballpark. Remember, folks, he was a Cincinnati Red more than he was a Philadelphia Philly.
This is true. The other issue also is there were recent revelations where he was accused of having relations with a minor. The Phillies had previously distanced themselves from that, not to mention his betting scandals. But they invited him back as part of a celebration for August 7th as part of their 1980 World Series win. Now, the team said, we consulted with Pete's teammates about his inclusion. Everyone wants Pete to be part of the festivities since there'd be no trophy in 1980 without him. And in addition, we received permission from the commissioner's office to invite Pete as a member of the championship team. So, the fans obviously have their own take on it. They would, I'm assuming they would rather not see Pete there based on the amount of backlash that I've seen online. It is what it is.
So the Pope arrives in Canada, begins his what you refer to as the apology tour. I refer it to due time. Hopefully, they'll be backed up with not just sincerity, but hard, convincing actions that help ensure that nothing like this happens anywhere under the auspices of the Catholic Church.
And it's, it's a difficult situation, all the way around. He did receive a couple rounds of applause for actually using the word sorry in the proper context. So that's understandable. But again, this is one of those things where there were over 150,000 Indigenous children that were forced to attend state-run schools in the 1870s that didn't actually close until 1997.
And let's
And
emphasize that they were state run, and it was the
mhm,
people within the Catholic Church that were, I'll put it simply, trusted to take care of these children. But they shouldn't have gone there in the first place, Aaron. So I think there's, I think Trudeau, on behalf of Canada, needs to, basically sit on the shoulder of the Pope in that apology.
well, the Trudeau government has apologized on
Yep.
several different occasions, but
No,
they
I
do
know.
need to do more work to make things right.
But that's the whole point. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a singular effort. It was a failing on different levels, and that's why we have to be careful about stuff like this, because when there's failing on different levels, it becomes harder to uncover it because there are more people willing to help cover it up, and that's the issue here. We can't have any more cover ups. We need to have information out there, people able to be heard. And when I say, as I always do, when I say heard, confirmed, and then judged based on the accusation and the guilt that's there. It isn't just a blanket charge and a blanket a blanket punishment. The severity of the punishment should be equal to the severity of the crime, and this was one of the most severe that you can find.
No, the crimes perpetrated in these particular cases were absolutely egregious, and the fact that we're finding more and more of these unmarked graves every single time we investigate a school is something that should trouble every single Canadian to their core. This is something that we should not just brush off with, oh, it's just blah blah blah. This is a serious matter that needs to be addressed by all Canadians. So.
Let me preface this story by saying that I got on a plane in time. The plane left on time, arrived in Halifax on time. Now, mind you, I don't know about the experience about luggage, but because I brought both mine with me and they were within feet of me the whole time. So I can't speak to the issue of luggage. But when I left on time. I arrived 5 minutes early and everything went fine at the airport. I got through there. But there are other stories, and I have a feeling, Aaron, you might maybe tell us about one?
Sure, I can certainly do that. I mean, there's all sorts of horror stories that are going around these days about what's going on with Air Canada in particular. Unfortunately, one of the ladies who had a horror story actually found her bags on her own in the airport.
Amazing.
So
that's amazing.
It's one of those absolutely nuts things. She landed at St. John's International and was waiting for her luggage at the baggage claim. Not enough luggage came out on the carousel for the 30 people that were actually waiting. So, but she did actually have an Apple AirTag in her bags. So she was able to find her bag, which while she was at St. John's International was still in Pearson. There's that. On the flip side of the coin as well, we know that WestJet won't be going on strike anytime soon because they've actually reached a new agreement with their Unifor workers, which could potentially help ease congestion and help move things along at the airport as well. So, a part of it is a labor shortage. Part of it is the fact that everybody's now deciding to travel now that COVID is over. Even as we're coming out of a seventh wave, it's the little things that get to people about this sort of thing. And while accidents like this are unfortunate, there are a lot more positive stories coming out than negative. So it's all on balance.
Absolutely. So BC police watchdog investigating a police shooting in Nanaimo, BC.
Yeah. So there was a police shooting over the weekend. They were called to a reported confrontation between a man and a woman outside a vehicle near the south end of the city on Saturday afternoon, where they alleged that the man produced a weapon when officers arrived. The man was injured. Paramedics with BC Emergency Health Services attended to the man. Unfortunately, he passed away at the scene. So this is currently under investigation by IHIT out there in BC. Now, this also follows on the heel of 4 homeless people that were actually, and this is something I didn't actually have in my précis, Frank, that were actually gunned down over the course of the weekend as well by an individual. He was walking around shooting homeless people in Langley's downtown core.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what's going on out in BC, but we'll definitely keep an eye on that.
Oh, that's really
it's horrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Looking
not
at
everything. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead, finish. Not everything.
It's not anything you ever want to see happen. Unfortunately, it's starting to occur with more frequency, and it's troubling to say the least.
Islanders pitch in after PEI ferry fire, offer up homes to stranded passengers on the opposite spectrum.
Yeah, so this is on the bright side of things. There was a fire aboard the MV Holiday Island, um, and this is crossing between Nova Scotia and PEI. This is the fourth day of cancellations during a period of peak travel, which unfortunately is going to be hurting PEI's tourism industry. But at the same time, a lot of people are opening up their homes to take people in. Now, the Holiday Island crosses the Northumberland Strait between Caribou, Nova Scotia, and Wood Islands, PEI. Unfortunately, it's an older vessel. It's been in service for 50 plus years, but its last inspection was May 11th, 2022. So this is not an event that they were expecting, but there were about 230 passengers who ended up getting stranded. So a lot of Islanders are taking them in.
Yeah. Long-term care home in Nova Scotia, in fact, in Pictou County, evacuated. Aaron, what happened there?
Well, what basically happened was they were evacuated due to an apparent air quality issue. There had been road paving that was going on next door, as well as apparently a fire and emergency services situation that came up with this. And now that accident was a little bit away from the Valley View Villa, which houses 113 residents. The fire itself was actually in the 6100 block of Trafalgar Road in Riverton. So they got everybody out. Now, during the inspection, they found that there are some propane lines that need to be replaced. But everything is going to be investigated over the next few days. But hopefully they'll be able to get them back in sooner rather than later.
Let's look at COVID. There are some concerns over the fall, but let's all remember we have the vaccinations in place. And, but so far, Quebec is to open COVID-19 vaccination appointments for babies, kids under 5.
And again, this is with the idea of protecting those amongst us who are most vulnerable. The good news is this is all coming on the tails of our 7th wave, believe it or not.
Yeah. I believe
it. But this is hospitalizations had been up as much as 17 to 20% over the past couple of weeks, but that's starting to tail off now. So that's a relief.
So it's all tailing off. I guess in conclusion, with the last minute or two that we have here, the temperatures have been crazy. Last week, global warming is no longer something to look forward to. And I heard a comment that I think is true. I think talking about ending the problem or working towards ending it in 2050, I think we're past that now, Aaron. And I think people are becoming grossly appreciative of the fact that it's here now and maybe action has to be taken this moment.
Now, this is one of those situations where we really can't wait any longer. Any further delay would be even more catastrophic. So
that's terrible. It's something that the evidence is out there, folks. The heat is on, and we have fires everywhere. Tarmac melting in England. I mean, I don't know how much more proof you need. Temperatures of 114 degrees, where the highest was once 90. No, just a little too much. Aaron, it was a real pleasure doing this. Not talking about what we're talking about now, but the rest of it. Thank you for your help and contribution to this show. Without you, it is not as good.
Thank you for having me, Frank.
Okay, he's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live. Aaron, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now. Hey, Cookie, how's it going?